All right, we'll call the East Long Meadow Housing Authority board meeting. Today is November 13th, 2019. It is officially 4:31. First on the agenda today is the minutes of the October 2019. Entertain a motion to accept the minutes of.
I move.
Do I hear a second?
A
A
second.
second.
Any further discussion? Not hearing any. All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? I will abstain because I was not here, and I'm sure Jim will abstain since he was not here. All right. Next on the agenda is the certificate of substantial completion.
The roofs are done,
They look good.
so we just have to vote on the certificate of substantial completion. So the only thing is just gonna be the punch list. And, for some strange reason, they got rid of my gutter guards, so I have to,
All of
so I
them?
guess they have to replace them. Yeah, I don't know why, but they just removed them. Why they touched them, I don't know, but, cause they were doing the roof, but,
So they're gonna replace them?
yeah, I guess they're gonna have to.
Yep.
So, and that's it, that's part of the punch list, and, once that's done, then we can pay them their final payment, and another project in the books,
Nice.
file it away.
I'll entertain a motion to accept the certificate of substantial completion as mentioned by the executive director.
I'll make the motion.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Need some more?
No, I'm good, I got some. It's the heat, this heat is killing me.
Any
Yeah.
further discussion? Not hearing any, all in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Ayes got 5-0. Next on the agenda is the budget revision.
Alright, I need to, everybody sign off on the budget revision. The big thing, I can show everybody this. The big thing that we had to do the revision on is, I don't know if everybody remembered that we had, there was a lawsuit, so, we had to pay out, so we get reimbursed from the Department of Housing. And what the revision does is tells the Department of Housing to, you know, pay us the money that we paid out,
Okay.
that they told us that we had to pay out. And the other thing was, we've had a lot of vacancies recently, so I've been hiring a lot of contractors. So I have to move money from, materials and supplies to contract costs. So instead of us buying the supplies and our men doing it, I have to pay contractors to do the same project. So we just gotta move money around in those two categories.
And I'm sure everything is okay by our fee accountant Gary.
Yes. Yeah, he does all the figures, so it's always good.
That's right, absolutely. Any other questions to Lynn? If none, I'll entertain a motion to accept the budget revision.
A second.
I'll
Yeah.
make the motion.
I got the motion, Vinnie seconded. Vinnie's jumping the gun, but any further discussion? Not hearing any, all in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Ayes got it 5-0.
Thank you, everybody.
Next on the agenda is the budget items.
Okay, there's a few items.
I know.
I haven't really been thinking about it too much, but, well, one of the things that Gary gave me, and I don't know if everybody remembers, but, 2 years ago, they had the directors have an increase. They went and did a survey, and they finally put us to the salary that we should have been at, but if we accepted that salary, we were not to get an increase for 3 years.
Mhm.
So now they decided after 2 years that they were gonna give us an increase. So, and this again needs to be signed by Joe, but it's to increase my salary, it's just like $1, I think it's $1.20 an hour increase.
So that's like across the board for all executive directors?
Yeah, I would say so.
So for members that were not here 2 years ago, there was a freeze from the executive directors, and the executive directors, basically the salary was coming from DHCD, the Department of Housing and Community Development. So Lynn, I would say for at least 3 or 4 years, did not get an increase. And then finally, when DHCD 2 years ago came out with the new budget, there was a substantial increase that kind of went back for the 3 years that executive directors did not get an increase. But they put the caveat of saying, all right, you can give them an increase, but they're not going to get an increase for 3 more years.
So it was increased and
Two
now you
years
have to
ago.
wait 3 more years to
Right.
get another increase, got it.
So now DHCD is coming back and saying, well, we're going to lift that cap, and now we can,
After 2 years.
after 2 years, saying, well, the executive director has not gotten an increase, but now executive directors can get an increase after the second year, in which $1 something per hour increase. And it's still by,
Did they put a cap on it now, after this other increase? Are they gonna put like another 3-year cap on it? Is there something else written in there?
We don't know until we get the budget guidelines. When we get the budget guidelines, because it's always up to the Department of Housing, even,
So it's predicted by them,
right, so so next year, most likely in 2020, the revision will be out, and so that's where we'll see what the department is, it's all gonna tie to what the state and their funding and everything else, so, you're at the mercy of the department per se, but, at least it's good one way that, 2 years ago, at least it brought the executive director's pay up to, competitive, pay wages for the size of the authority and everything else. So that was a plus, in that we know that we are paying according to what the market's calling for. And my concern was 2 years ago, because of that big increase, I wanted to make sure that we had the money in the budget to pay Lynn, because I didn't want to face or have the option of having the executive director say, no, do we have to cut staff down or everything else? So
cut my hours.
right,
or
cut the
whatever.
hours down. So we are very fortunate, even with the services with Gary, that this housing authority is running very well and doesn't see any money from the state. So it's kudos to Lynn and the staff that are collecting the rents accordingly and everything else. So it's nice that after 2 years, the HCD says that we can give an increase of $1 and some change. So.
Does that affect the budget? Like, how you're supposed to have that X amount of money, free money or leftover money or whatever, what's that? Doesn't really affect that. It was still available money.
Yeah,
for
the
all
excess.
those
Yeah,
things.
you still have the reserves and all stuff.
Okay.
So
Yeah, 300 somewhat changed.
So my thing.
300,000.
My thing would be the same thing, is because of the revision, just to follow up with Gary, and I think he's got to come in next month anyway. So he's got to come in next month anyway to go with the board with the budget. So I want to make sure that even with this increase that we're okay, and everything else. I'm sure I'm not speaking on behalf of the board. I think we all want to make sure that each line item is accordingly, and to make sure that we can sustain the increase to Lynn and everything else, not to affect the bottom line of the housing
Okay.
authority. So any other questions to Lynn in regards to that, or my explanation of what we get from DHCD? I gotta wear my double hat, so.
Good thing.
If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept the increase to the executive director of the $1 and some change. Did they give an effective date? I can't remember. Is it January or is it?
I think it's gonna go in the budget. I
Budget.
think Gary needs this, if it's voted by the board, then he needs that to put it into the budget.
So I'll entertain a motion to authorize the $1 and some odd change to the executive director's contract for the upcoming budget that will be presented to the board next month, and probably I would say effective for January 2020.
Okay.
So moved.
Do I hear a
Second that.
Any further discussion? Not hearing any. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes got it. 5-0.
Thank you, everybody. Alright, I just need you to sign there. And then the other budget items I've been thinking about is, guys, that we're talking about a zero-turn tractor, and I heard Agawam Housing just bought one, so I haven't had a chance to call over there to see how they like it.
Sorry. It's okay. No, you're
But they were
okay.
interested in putting that in the budget. I was also thinking about a new truck. We have 2 trucks. They don't get a lot of mileage, but they do, I mean, they just get a lot of wear, just a lot, because they don't get worked a lot, but only in the wintertime. So, so I was thinking about replacing one of the trucks, getting a zero-turn tractor, maybe even another plow tractor. I was thinking about even getting some more cameras, and we are getting a tech allowance next year, so that would include like the cameras and maybe a new copier. And I'm thinking about going iPads for the guys for their work orders, so kind of get rid of the paper, and we can email like their work orders through the iPads, and then they can fill them out and then email them back to us. So everything will be electronic and get rid of the paper.
What I would,
That's a goal.
yeah, what I would do is just like what I just did in, my housing authority. I went through the state contract, and I went to see what the cost would be for 1 or 2 trucks. So I was in the same dilemma that you're in. And through the state contract, I was able to purchase 2 brand new F-350s with the plows, with an astonishing price on that. So what you could possibly do is look at what it would cost for 1, and with 2 you can sometimes get a deal when you're purchasing two vehicles. So I would just it would not hurt to see what the price, and if there will be a savings on purchasing 2 trucks. And this is your wish list, so as long as it's in the budget to purchase. I know same thing is that you want the maintenance guys, work smarter, not harder, and they definitely need to have the equipment, especially winter time or springtime. So, I would prioritize, what is old and what is probably ready to go to bed per se, and to get something newer for them.
What was the first item, a tractor? Is that what you're saying?
Tractor, zero-turn tractor, that's what they call it.
Like a mower kind of a
So
thing,
it can
right?
do like a
Oh,
360
They
without
got a
having to,
diesel,
without having to go into
Diesel.
Back
reverse.
and forth,
Yeah.
yeah.
Did we
Lawnmower.
hire anybody yet?
What's that?
Did we hire anybody yet?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna talk about
okay.
next.
Well,
So I
that's
did
great.
hire someone in
Good.
the office, and I actually just hired someone for maintenance also.
Well, that'll be
So
great
he
then.
just passed his physical and his drug screening, and he has to give a notice naturally where he's at, so hopefully he'll be in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, that's good before the winter. My gosh, I don't know how they were gonna do it if they had. That's good. So that'll all be built into the budget. You gotta
how
put out
much
the
are those
bid and all that good
lawnmowers they
stuff,
use?
right, Joe?
10
Gotta be
grand
bidded
each?
on all that. I
I
mean,
don't
all
know.
the stuff will
I
have to
think
be.
more.
Well, a lot of this stuff.
They're more?
I think
You're better
more.
off buying a truck then instead of a lawnmower.
Well, the truck can't
Put
do
a,
sidewalks.
about a tractor, a good sized tractor, so you can really mow fast instead of a lawnmower. I mean, if you're gonna spend $15,000 for a lawnmower,
Well, that's what they are. They're tractors, like what they have now.
yeah, they're small though. Those things are.
So to your question, a lot of it's through the state contract. So you
Okay.
know, if you can go right through the state contracts, and you know, so
Should get the best.
you'll get the best deals around when you go through the state contracts, and you know
Those things are.
But yeah, you know, but sometimes with those items like a tractor, they may not have them on the state contract. So you can then. What I always like to do is even though it's under the procurement laws, I always still like to get 3 quotes from the thing. So it's not like saying, okay, you're going to Acres here, you know, but you could also go to the new place. I forgot the new name from the old Allen Lawnmowers in Agawam. You know, I like to get a couple. Just
to
as you get right.
Make sure that you're all in line.
Right, 'cause,
Okay.
you know, especially
Yep.
for a small housing, even for a middle-sized housing authority, you know, every penny counts.
I know.
So you save a penny here, a penny there, it adds up, and especially if funding gets worse and worse and cutbacks, you're looking at where you need to do. So, but same thing is probably to prioritize what the maintenance staff needs.
Right.
Because if you're saying trucks would be nice, and that's probably not a top priority, but you end up buying 2 trucks or 1 truck, and then all of a sudden comes April, the lawnmower goes, and there's no money in the budget to do the lawn services. Now we say, okay, how do we, where are you going to come? So I guess you kind of have to wait and see how old the tractor may be and all that stuff, but I'm sure with Lynn, like I do with my accountants, here's my wish items, estimate what it would cost, and do a budget. Say, okay,
See if we can do it.
could we get these, 3 or 4 items, or do we have to just pick and choose? Just like when you're doing a remodeling here at the, is it a roof or a boiler that you need to put on? So, it's all the planning process and your wish list.
Some guessing too involved.
Yeah.
Do we have a technology line item at one point?
They're gonna give us a like a
So that
tech-
could cover the iPads or something? Okay.
yeah, that
Gotta
was
teach
in
them
the
how to use
revision.
them too.
Yeah, they have to, they gave us a certain amount, I can't remember
thought-
if it was like 5,000 or 8,000,
Okay.
For
so.
iPads.
That's how much for the tech budget that they're giving me, and I can spend it however I want to,
Oh,
so
$5,000.
iPads
That's
will
a lot of
only
money
be,
for 3 iPads.
yeah,
We only got two maintenance guy now.
iPads can be expensive, $1,000 a piece.
Mm-hmm.
I hope not.
I
Oh,
don't think so.
I just bought one, $1,000 for an iPad. So.
Birthday present?
No,
I was
for
just
work.
thinking
Yeah, no, it's. I'm telling you, I can't keep up.
You gotta
with
get 2 then, right?
Yeah,
now?
no, it's crazy, but I hate traveling with all those extra items, but you need to have them when you stay on top of all your emails and doing things.
I know.
All right. Anything else on the budget items?
No, if anybody else can think of anything, I know I'm just trying to think of things now, so, I'm gonna see if I can, talk to the tenants too, maybe go to the next association meeting, see what they would like. Sometimes I can get some good ideas of what they would like to see done in and around their complexes. Sometimes it's a little,
Have we considered like the
Overboard,
cutouts for the tubs? Thought-
nope, don't have,
Okay. I don't know how much those,
Those walk-in tubs,
yeah,
wicked expensive.
to do the cutout?
You have one you walk in, wicked expensive.
No, just to cut a piece out of the top,
Yeah.
put a sign.
Can you do that?
Yeah,
Yes.
you can do that.
I've done
Yeah.
that.
No doors, no nothing, just, you have?
Just a cut out, so
Oh,
instead
so you
of,
can just shower, you're not
Yeah,
gonna be
yeah.
able to.
So people can just walk
Walk
in
in
with
rather than
it,
lift-
but you lift it up, it's cut out, but then the piece goes back on, so the water doesn't seep out, but it's a cheaper version of doing
You
things.
can't.
Is there an
bathe
issue
in
with
there,
like
can you?
water damage?
I've had some issues per se, but it's because unfortunately, if you have an individual and they have carpal tunnel or something, and then if you don't close it all the way, put it down, the water's gonna
Yeah.
seep out. So of course, you get people say, "Oh, I got water's running," and then when you investigate it, you're not trying to be disrespectful to the
Right.
individual because of whatever health issues that he or she has. It's the education point and saying this is how you need to operate it, so the water doesn't seep out. But it's one way of saving money. But then what you get is, I don't like it.
That's, yeah.
It's a devil's
Yes.
advocate, so you know,
I can see that happening
per
on
se, you know, for
occasion.
reasonable accommodations and all that stuff, you're trying to,
Yep.
you know, fulfill the need of that individual, but then they will turn around and say, "Oh, I don't like it. It's not appealing."
So you can you take a bath in those once you get it? It's
Yeah,
just a.
no, you can.
Really?
They just cut it out, and then it's, you know, they have the
A rubber sealer and.
yeah, and then you just put it right
Lift
back, and
it
it
up
attaches
and-
right back.
Take a
Yeah, but it's not appealing. But
it does
It's
the job.
safer, it's safer to
If
get
you
in, get
can't
out
jump,
too, you
yeah.
know.
If you
Yeah.
can't go over the tub.
so that's what, you know, when you get a lot of these reasonable accommodations. So you're trying your best on trying to
Either that or
accommodate.
give them a shower, either one.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, that's the thing. Oh, I don't like it. It's ugly. You know, now because you have the metal piece that's sticking in a little bit, so it's not, you know, the tub is not as wide anymore. So it's like,
Guess I'd have to see those again, see what they look like.
yeah. So
I've never
it's,
seen that.
Yeah.
it's been done.
And the only other thing that I would suggest or mention, I don't even know how far this went, was the handicap accessible at Village Green to get into the common room, but I think we've been round and around with that. So I'm not sure where we actually left off with that, if it's even possible, or I know it's probably gonna cost way more